Hello, it's Silje, and today I will talk about my favorite city in the world. Or to be more precise, I will talk about books set in my favorite city. And if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, or if you've seen some of my videos, you may have noticed that I am pretty fond of France in general, and that I talk a lot about Paris. So, of course, Paris is my favorite city. And I like to call Paris my home away from home. I try to go there at least once a year, and I love to walk around and discover new places and be reunited with old places. I like to sit in parks and in cafes and read books, maybe take a glass of wine or a glass of beer blanche. I like to write. Did I say relax? Book shopping. Paris has some fantastic bookshops. And I go to events. Yeah, it's just an amazing city. Okay, let's go on with the books. I thought I might do a list of all my favorite books set in Paris, but I tend to ramble a lot about the books I like, so that video would be really long. So instead I will talk about 2 books today, and then I might do another video about the same subject. So the books I will be talking about today are one book written by a French author, and it's a classic, and I have talked about it before, and it's also on the 1001 list. And there is one book written by a British author that lives in Paris, I think, or he did live there, and it's a contemporary. It's 2 very different books, but both are on my top 3 books set in Paris. The third book is A Movable Feast by Ernest Hemingway, and I think I will talk about that. The first book is Therese Raquin by Emile Zola. It was written in the 1860s, and it's written in the naturalistic and the deterministic style, and that's a style that I, in general, really like. I like this bleak and dark and kind of fatalistic writing, where you know it won't end happy at all. You just don't know how bad it will end, and yeah, I'm intrigued by that. And this book follows Therese, and it starts in Normandy, where she lives with her aunt and her cousin, the sickly Camille. And for some reason, she ends up marrying Camille because the aunt wants her to do that. And Therese is a girl that will do what she's told to do. And they move to Paris, and they move to a very dark and poor passage near the Seine on the left bank, called Passage du Pont-Neuf. And they buy a store there, and they live in an apartment above the store. And this passage did really exist in the 1800s. It doesn't exist anymore, but I like to go around and see if I can find places that reminds me of this place. Because of the name Pont-Neuf and the fact that the author is describing the areas around Notre Dame and the left bank, I think I know where it is, almost. The marriage between Therese and Camille is not based on love, and it's not based on passion either. Therese finds herself falling passionately in love with Laurent, a co-worker of Camille. They start an affair. And they're plotting to commit a crime, to be together. And they have the notion that if they are committing this crime, they will be free, they will be living together, and they will be able to show their love. But of course, it's not what's going to happen. After they have committed the crime, they are tormented by guilt and self-loathing and despair. They both remind each other of what they have done, and all this guilt manifests itself different ways. They feel haunted by the ghost of the crime. There's a bit that Laurent was given by the victim while doing the crime. The more he feels the guilt, the more this wound is growing and itching and hurting. So I feel like that's a manifestation of the crime or Laurent's guilt. Another symbol in this book that also plays a huge part in their feeling of guilt and despair is the cat. Early on in the story, Therese is described as a cat-like woman or a feline woman, and the cat as a symbol or as a connotation, it has its duality, I think. You have the positive connotation, where the cat is this cute and charming and cuddly little furball, and they're also the more negative ones. Cats are also predators, and they are known to be very sinister to their prey. My interpretation is that the cat duality also represents Therese and her personality's duality. On one side, she is this meek and she's a woman that is doing what she's told in the beginning, but you also get the feeling that she has something more with her. There's something more lurking beneath, like the cat has this sinister part. When this is mentioned early on in the book, it's kind of foreshadowing of what's going to happen. As the story progresses, she is the one that initiates the affair, and she plays a big part in the crime of passion. Cat also plays a big role later on in the story after they have committed the crime, because the house cat or the family's cat, the cat of Camille, is also some sort of manifestation of their self-loathing and despair and guilt. And I think it's mostly Laurent's feelings. So this cat is described as sinister and almost revengeful, and it just pops out everywhere where he is, and he gets really scared. And I think that the cat is on one side, as I said, the manifestation of the guilt, but also a symbol of this feeling Laurent has for Therese after they have done what they have done. They don't love each other, and he is kind of scared, and he feels like her presence is a constant reminder of what they've done. So, yeah. This book is a book that I think is hard to forget. It has kind of stuck with me since I read it, and I think it's very well written, and I like the way he manages to write so atmospheric and naturalistic, and it's very bleak and dank and dark, and it's also almost like all this atmosphere and all these feelings just are seeping out of the pages and infects you in some strange way. And yeah, so I think this isn't a romantic take on Paris. It's not a happy story, but it's a very good read and a good book, and I think you should read it. And it's Paris. Book number 2 is this one, and this is The Three Lies of Tomomi Ishikawa by Benjamin Constable. And Benjamin Constable, he lived in Paris. He might live there now, I'm not sure, but this book was released in 2013, I think. And it's a book that had a great impact on me when I read it, because it was my first summer alone in Paris, so I needed a book that could just engross me, and this one did. This is set, of course, in Paris, but it also set in New York. And it starts with Benjamin Constable talking with his friend Tomomi Ishikawa about him writing a book. And then Tomomi Ishikawa disappears, and she leaves behind a set of clues for Benjamin Constable to solve, so he can find out what's happened to her. It's a quest, basically, to find the answer. This book is a strange, kind of meta novel, I think, and it plays with the concept of fiction and reality. His descriptions of Paris, and I guess also New York, but I don't know, is very accurate, so you can use it as a guide to see the parts of Paris that you might not discover if you're just following the touristy way. I actually used this as a guide, and I walked around in several arrondissements, tried to see if the things that are described in this book really exists, and it does. So I will put some pictures in so you can see. And that was a great experience. This book is very engaging and is well written. It has a lot of twists and turns, but I don't think it's mainly plot driven. I think the plot and the character development are very balanced. So you get the drive and you also get to know the characters very well. And that's always a plus. It's almost like the character Tomomi Ishikawa is playing you as a reader the same way as she is playing the character Benjamin Constable. It's a look into a person's psyche, but you're never sure if she is manipulating you to get a good story, or if the things she is telling and that Benjamin Constable is discovering is true inside the book. So it's kind of a book that you really don't know what is. It's a hybrid, and the fact that the main character and the author has the same name is also a play with the fiction and reality. Yeah, it's a very fascinating read and a fun read, and also quite disturbing, I think. It has some parts that are very dark and strange, but yeah, I highly recommend this book as well. So that was my first 2 books in the Paris book series. Hopefully I will do some more. I have quite a few books on my list, but for now this is it. So yeah, until next time, ha det.